Sci-Fi Movie Club, how you doing? You guys are reviewing The Producers, a musical. Phil DeFranco Movie Club, how you doing? You guys are reviewing Equilibrium. So, let's delve into the world of melodramatic science fiction. So this movie stars Christian Bale, Taye Biggs, Emily Watson, that guy who played Robert the Bruce in Braveheart. You know who I'm talking about. And written and directed by Kurt Wimmer. Is that okay? Whom I've never heard of before. Okay. And yes, I'm always a fan of when the same mind both wrote it and directed it. I always think that's a good combination. However, it can lead to disaster. It can. Because when you're too close to a project, then you don't become... you're not objective enough about the project, you know? So, that said, not much you can do about a fairly two-dimensional idea like a dystopian future where emotion is outlawed. And this is why I say we are, in this review, I'm going to be talking about melodramatic science fiction. Because very often, experimental science fiction ends in melodrama. Would you like a good example of that? Watch the original Star Trek series! Very often, new adventures into science fiction, new experimental looks into science fiction, end in melodrama. Because that's just the side effect of getting into something new. And as we delve into something new, we don't have all the correct emotional tones about it. That's why movies like this end up looking melodramatic. And for a world where there is, like, no emotion whatsoever, some very melodramatic things happen. The one that sticks out the most is when Taye Diggs is beating up Christian Bale in public and shouting at everyone around him that this man is stealing! He is a sex offender! Look at him! He's a bastard! He's a criminal! And what are you? You're pretty fucking angry right now. No one looks at him and says, hey, you're a sex offender too. Not to mention that it still boggles the mind that many people would agree to give up emotion. Really. How bad would the wars have to be to convince the whole of humanity that emotion is the problem? Not bad government policies, not religion dictating government policies, not corrupt leaders. No. Emotion. That's the problem. So the human race endeavors to turn themselves into the Vulcan race with a drug called Equilibrium. But, of course, there's still an underground resistance that treasures art, books, thinking, philosophy, poetry, you know, those things that make humanity human. And again, the more I think about this plot, the more I think that if I was writing something like this, I would have recognized it as a bad idea and just scrapped the idea. As a writer, you have to do that sometimes. You have to look at your idea objectively and say, you know what? No, not good enough. In the fucking trash. Even though the gun battles at the end are, like, the highlight of the film, they're a little too perfect because, and not one stray bullet hits him. No one tags him with a sword. His skill is just a little too perfect to me, alright? It's like they look good, but when he comes out without a single scratch, it feels like at that point, the melodrama has reached a level of unrealistic. A level which the premise of the film already reached. However, it has to be pointed out that movies like this are necessary. They are. Bad science fiction is necessary, so that we can all learn what good science fiction looks like. Most science fiction is going to appeal to a very small audience at first, and then if you get it right, it can appeal to a larger audience, alright? Equilibrium is something that appeals to a very small audience, and because it didn't get it right, it still only appeals to a very small audience. I appreciate it for what it is. A good experiment in the genre of sci-fi. A necessary experiment. Because I believe wholeheartedly in the idea that there's no such thing as a bad experiment. All experiments amount to valuable research. All said, the number one reason to see this film is the gunfights at the end, and I'm talking about the whole fight, from like where he shoots up the whole hallway of people, then he sword fights a whole room full of people, and then he kills Taye Diggs before Taye Diggs can take 2 steps, and then he has the one-on-one gun duel with with Robert the Bruce. Yeah, that guy. So, and you can probably watch that entire clip on YouTube, alright? So if sci-fi is not your thing, and experimental sci-fi is not your thing, I recommend just watching that on YouTube. Because ultimately, I give this movie like a 5 out of 10. It was a good effort. It was a good effort, and a worthwhile experimentation, but ultimately, a movie that just kind of falls flat. So, that said, click like if you like, click subscribe if you want to see more. Please leave a comment down below telling me what you think of my review, and links in the description down below to my Facebook, my Twitter, and my website. Please check it all out. In the meantime, Phil DeFranco Movie Club, thank you for choosing good movies. Even weird movies like this one. Thank you for choosing movies like this. Keep on choosing good movies, great movies, experimental movies, whatever you choose. I hope to see you next time on Phil DeFranco Movie Club.